Thank you. I'm glad that we made it. I would like to present you. So, Mr. Temi, he's actually a professional in the IT digital infrastructure. Mr. Temi, he's based in Nigeria,
Okay, good
and he's
afternoon,
joined us remotely, as you can see.
ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Excuse me.
Congratulations on this webinar.
Volume.
And I wish I
Volume.
could be there with you in Tunisia, but unfortunately, I couldn't make it. But I'm glad that I can speak or contribute virtually to this great webinar. So thank you so much. My name is Temi Fadeyi. I am the data center manager for a company that operates in Nigeria called Galaxy Backbone Limited. So we provide IT services to the federal government of Nigeria and the ministries and departments of agencies of the federal government of Nigeria. So once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on this topic and to share my insights into what this topic is about. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I cannot see the presentation.
Slide. Presentation. So to introduce the audience, we have people actually from several, let's say, activities or expertise, from the financing, from the disaster recovery, from the infrastructure, AI infrastructure, architects, containerized data centers, infrastructure enablers, backbone managers, data centers, and technology executives from countries, African countries and European countries.
Okay. Now, so at the moment, when you look at the Africa, the IT landscape in Africa, we know a lot of countries in Africa have been developing in information technology. I'm going to speak for West Africa, Nigeria, South Africa as well. We have seen the emergence of data centers, industries. The data center in Africa is growing at a compound rate. We can see internet penetration as well, and the use of mobile internet through mobile devices. We can see a lot of social media inclusion in Africa. We have the generation this generation X, or the millennial generation, that are actually embracing the use of technology in everyday life. So we know that information technology, IT, is embraced in Africa, on a larger scale. And I know that, in economic development for every country, you need to make sure that IT plays a crucial role. Because you and I, whatever we do, when you wake up in the morning, you take up your phone, you have to go on social media, you send emails, you are producing data, generating data, you are reading information, reading news. So we know that IT is very crucial in our everyday life, so basically in closing the social gap, IT is also very crucial. So the question now is that in Europe and in the West, they have their own model of how they use and consume this information technology. Is it different from the way Africa consumes its own technology? The answer to that is yes. Next slide, please. Now, we've talked about the growth in digital economy, right? We're looking at artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, data analytics. These are new technology that is coming into the market globally. We know that very soon, I'm sure the people are talking about robotics and AI, that, jobs for you and I is being threatened, because when you have robots doing our jobs, that means there will be no need for us to be working, and that's going to affect us mentally, physically, and all that. But I believe that with the rise of this digital technology, we human beings also should keep abreast and make sure that we don't give everything to robots to do. So definitely, the growth of digital economy or digital transformation in the world is amazing, and it's growing at a very fast pace. So now in Africa, we have a lot of infrastructure challenges. Okay, that really stops us from embracing or kind of exploiting the full benefit of the technology that we run. That is meant to help us to grow our economy. So, for example, in Nigeria, right, because I look after a data center, we have a lot of challenges in the infrastructure that we run, that we operate in our data center. A lot of this infrastructure, we don't have the skills to actually maintain it properly. So we are dependent on, our third party vendors, and most of these vendors are not based locally. They are based in Europe or based in the West. So we have those challenges, and also power challenges. For example, the grid, the electricity that comes from the grid in Nigeria at the moment is not constant. So we have power challenges in running our data center. Now, you and I mean, you will agree with me that the infrastructure that you have in your data center is dependent on constant supply of electricity, because these infrastructures are not designed, to shut down and power up. They have to keep running. That's why you have a tier 3 or a tier 4 data center that provides a redundant source of power supply. And apart from that, government policies, right, and regulation in Africa, most of them are not friendly, for this, adoption of new technology and technologies that can grow our economy. So, investments to grow an economy, you need foreign direct investments. You need, the finance that can actually enable your ideas to be implemented into reality. And we all know that, at the moment, there's a global exchange rate fluctuation that is affecting currency and exchange rate, and also is affecting the economy in most of the African countries. Now, we talk about the key IT hubs in Africa. For example, in Nigeria, we have a lot of what they call incubation hub. We have a lot of startups, technology startups that are going through the accelerator, the incubator stage. And basically, the reason behind this is that you want to encourage, local innovation. You want to encourage innovation that are being developed locally, so that, they can develop solutions that are tailored, to regional challenges. And in Kenya, you have, a lot of IT hubs as well. In Africa, I think, those IT hubs are actually, kind of, being springing up from every area now and then. Next slide, please. Now, we talk about just a brief overview of the successful global IT, models. In the USA, you have the Silicon Valley. I'm sure everyone in the room knows about Silicon Valley, where you have kind of an habitat where you have, tech startups, investors, universities, individuals, private sectors in a community to foster collaboration. And what this does, it enables, new innovation. It enables new ways of doing things, and obviously when they do that, it develops their IT ecosystem, which in turn help drive the economy, right? In China, the government initiative to help drive expansion of IT. For example, in Nigeria, we have a Chinese company called Huawei, right? Huawei is a Chinese company. They're into, kind of infrastructure technology services, and they are operating in Nigeria. But, they have a full support of the Chinese government. So China is creating, regulatory framework and policies to help their private sector IT firm develop. In India is also part of the BRICS nation. They are actually, on the forefront of, outsourcing, IT outsourcing and services model. back in the year 2000, we have a lot of Indians, right, in the United Kingdom, in America, running IT services, working in the software industry. And, because of it, they can get them on a cheaper labor. It's better for the Europeans or the Americans to employ them, just to make sure that they provide value, software deployment, software development value into the economy. And that's really helped, the UK economy, because most of the proprietary software that are actually used in the banking industry in the UK are built, I wouldn't say built by Indian, but, there's a value input from the India, India personnel in that country. And Europe, right? Europe comes with regulation of digital economy, which is really good. It helps shape, the model that the West is running. Next slide, please. Now, so what are the benefits of applying the global IT models in Africa? There's a lot of benefits, right? There's a saying that if you want to go far or if you want to see further, it's good to sit on the shoulder of a giant, right? Now, giants, in theoretical aspects, we consider giants are people that have developed a model that has proven to be successful, that has worked for that economy. And we know that in the West, in Europe, in America, their IT model has actually, we can count a number of successful IT models. So if we apply it, with such model in Africa, we definitely know that, okay, it has been tested, it has been proven to work. We also have access to global funding, because when you kind of collaborate across regions internationally, you collaborate on the finance part, you collaborate on the technology part. Collaboration brings more, kind of beneficial relationship. And once you have a beneficial relationship, you can tap on knowledge, you can tap on market, you can tap on expertise. You can actually start from somewhere and then grow. So, which is really good. And then you can attract, a lot of technology companies that are in the West. You can collaborate with them and have your footprint, and they can support you as well. So we can move to the next slide, please. Now, we look at the challenges of using global model in Africa, right? When I started, I said that, African challenges are peculiar to Africa, okay? It's very important not to lose focus of that, because whatever we are adopting for Africa should be tailored and customized to Africa. Now, in Europe, different climate, different, climatic condition, different people, different culture. Obviously, when you have different people, because people are behind the machines, right? Now, you have, a kind of a tailored infrastructure to the European region, right? In Africa, if we apply the global IT model, and we also adopt the infrastructure, we are going to have issues because they are different, right? And then we have, socioeconomic disparities. We have the risk of depending on foreign technology, because when you have somebody doing something for you, well, obviously it's human nature. You want to sit back and just relax, and which is not good, because you want to develop local content, you want to develop local expertise, you want to empower your people, right, to kind of to have the skills to be able to maintain any infrastructure and to be able to carry the model from growth to growth. Next slide, please. Now, think Africa. We should start thinking about Africa, right? We have to have a centralized information ecosystem. Okay. Now, a centralized information ecosystem, when we develop infrastructure that is customized to Africa, right, we can have tech hubs, we can have incubators, we can have data centers, Africa data centers. These are all footprints, right, of infrastructure ecosystem that is in Africa, is localized in Africa. It will be used to develop and host services that can be rendered to the citizens of Africa. Now, I'm going to stress also the importance of inter-Africa regional collaboration. There should be no boundaries, right? Government and the private sector must come together to form a solid partnership across the regions of Africa. Now, between Tunisia and Nigeria, there should be no boundary, right? Government and private sector should come up with an enabling environment, just like the Africa Continental Trade Agreement that was signed. It should allow the fostering of beneficial, technology across the nation, right? Across the region. So I need to stress the importance of government collaboration, government inclusivity in this drive to create an Africa-centric IT development model. Now, strengthening the intra-Africa digital trade is also important because obviously you have different associations, different unions. I mean, just the concluded African Union conference that was held in Ethiopia, there was a mention that from the World Trade Organization Secretary General that Africa must look inward, right, for Africa investment to Africa solution, right? There's no need, right, to continue to depend on international aid, right? Either from most of these, whatever. But what I can say is that we can customize those investments. We can customize those collaboration. We can look inward first, right? Develop policies, develop framework that can actually make our trade relationship very seamless. Very important. I think this is important for us to drive our own Africa-centric development model. Now, leveraging on local talent and indigenous technologies, right? For example, in Nigeria, we have car manufacturers, right? Innocent Motors is a manufacturing car manufacturing industry in Nigeria that have just come. You know, they've managed to find their niche in the market, right? And government is now supporting them, right? But previously there was a lot of bureaucracy, right, that hinders the growth of that industry. So I think Africa should also pay more attention to developing its own local talent, okay? Look at indigenous technologies. Look at the ways that we can foster the growth of these technologies, right? Push them forward. Let them be participants in this economic model. Let them, what are they bringing to the table, right? Access, give them training, give them the opportunity on a global stage, and we will be surprised on what they will have to offer. Next slide, please. Now, we talk about the pros, which are the advantages of having an Africa-centric IT model, okay? Africa challenges, right? It's only Africa's solution, right, that can meet those challenges, okay? I'll give you a classical example. We have a 650 kVA generator that will run for our data center, okay? And we have electricity supply from the power grid. We developed a custom agreement with the power board, electricity board, to kind of find a balance, right, in what we consume and what we pay every month. Now, we also have somebody from the electricity board that has a presence in our facility. That is a proactive arrangement, to prevent incidents that can affect the data center from happening. Now, some incidents happen which will cause a power electricity supply loss. Obviously, because we have our generator in place, they kick in and they make sure that the equipment and the infrastructure we have in the data center keeps running. Now, we've gone a step further to say, okay, the diesel supply that we have, yes, we have a monitoring system that monitors the level of the diesel. We make sure that the generators run for the run hours for the generator does not exceed what we have as the OEM specifies. But we also have people, contractors from the diesel supply company that comes, pays attention, have somebody situated on site to make sure that we don't have a problem with the supply of diesel. So just to give you a clear example of why Africa's solution, a customized solution is required to address the challenges in Africa. And we know that Africa has an ample supply of sunshine. The solar energy, the green energy, is something that we should look at developing our own solar panel, the technology in developing solar panels. We have a lot of Nigerians that are now kind of cooperating alignment with manufacturers of solar panel from China. We've sent them on, the kind of training and, to get the right expertise that's required to start, kind of seeing how we can now start having our own assembling plants in Nigeria locally, that we can start, kind of looking at building our own solar panel. And I think it's something that African countries should emulate, to see how we can start looking inward and making sure that we develop African solution to Africa challenges. Now, what this does, you create jobs for African youths. They are not there just not doing anything. They are occupied. They are creating jobs for them. And then you can retain local talent. And then also you strengthen the regional economic independence, because obviously, the more you rely on international, foreign companies, the more money you spend. And you and I know that at the moment, right, if you look at the exchange rate in Nigeria, a dollar is about, I think, 700 and, is it 800 and something naira to a dollar? That's a lot of money. And it keeps fluctuating. So the more we rely on dollars, US dollars, the more it will be difficult for us to carry out our day-to-day operations of the data center. So we're looking at, kind of indigenous solutions to most of the problems we have. And then you also encourage homegrown innovation. Very, very important. These are all the advantages of looking into creating an Africa-centric model. Next slide, please. Now, we look at the challenges of having an African IT model, right? Number one, finance is very important, okay? So in collaboration, right, if you don't collaborate more, when you're not collaborating, having a customized solution and all that, so you are saying that you don't need foreign direct investments, you don't need funding and all that. So these are some of the challenges, right? You also have a kind of a slower development, because before your solution can be embraced globally, you go through a lot of hurdles. And those are some of the challenges that you face when you have a custom solution to African issues. Now, you need a strong kind of governance, political policies and governance, right? That means it's not just about compliance. You also need enforcement of the compliance. You need to be able to, be strong enough to make sure people comply to the policies and the governance, right? I cannot see the last one. It's a bit difficult, but It just gives you an impression, and then you can have potential resistance, from international investors, because they say, oh, you already have an African solution, you don't need me to come into your region or your country to come and help. So you have some sort of pushback, which obviously will affect your model. Next slide, please. Now, I'm trying to bring this home, right? I've spoken about the pros and the cons of having your, of the global IT model and the local IT model. But from my experience, over 25 to 30 years experience in the technology industry, I do my own insight, and my belief is that, you can have the best of both worlds. You can have an hybrid approach, okay, where you can bring a global expertise with local adoption. There's what they say, you can think globally, but you need to act locally. It's very important. So we need to strengthen Africa's role in the global IT supply chain. One of the challenges we face currently, right, is when you need an equipment that you have to import from, let's say, Ireland, you look at the custom tariffs that you pay on those equipment and the length of time it takes for those equipment to get to Africa. Africa should start advocating for a bigger role in the global IT supply chain. We can start lobbying with government to remove excise duties, to waive off tariffs or taxes for certain consumables in the technology industry, like the infrastructure. I think at the moment, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in that area. I think we are at the mercy of most of these OEMs who are not located in Africa, but in the West and Europe. The only assembly plants that we have in Africa, probably just in South Africa and some other few, I think, Africa countries. I think we need more assembly plants to be located on the African continent. Okay? Now, for example, look at what is happening in Kenya with the Safaricom and the IT M-Pesa, which is a mobile technology that allows, the use of mobile devices to communicate with, financial institutions, investors around the world. Just very, very innovative solution. And that is made possible by the collaboration with not just in Africa, but collaboration across the globe. So, which is a very good case study. Next, please. And then in Nigeria, there's this growth of, the fintech industry. We have, the Paystack, the likes of Paystack. We have, some of all the, what's it called? We have, some financial fintech solution that is coming up. We need to see more of that. And the reason why these fintech solutions are being able to, establish their presence is because of the collaboration between, as a startup, between investors in Europe, between, private sectors that have done, being able to establish in that industry and sharing knowledge and expertise. So Africa is still a green field, and I believe that we are on the right path, to making sure that we have our own hybrid defined economic model. Now, Kenya is also moving up. Rwanda, the government is backing up a lot of innovation that is coming up in Rwanda at the moment. And apparently Rwanda is one of the more few advanced IT driven governments in Africa. So we're coming up, but the challenges are still there. But we believe with the right focus and the right drive, the collaboration, we're going to get there. Next slide, please. Now, we're talking about policy recommendation and strategic steps. Whatever we're going to do, we have to have a defined roadmap, okay? We have the low-hanging fruits, which we can easily achieve in 1 to 2 years. We have the higher hanging fruits, which will take time. So in achieving our own IT economic development model, we have to come up with a roadmap. And I'm on board Africa Data Center Association, where we are, we have come up with a lot of initiatives, to develop roadmaps for, for this, built for Africa and owned by Africa, built for Africa, built by Africa, the African level initiative where we're saying, okay, technologies should have kind of an African stamp to say, okay, this is African compliant. So that's some of the initiatives that has been driven by the Africa Data Center Association. So we recommend that government collaboration is very, very important. We need international and local partnerships. We have to strengthen our regulatory framework. Nigeria has come up with a national broadband policy. We have just signed a partnership with Google, which to develop a tech ecosystem in Nigeria. And I think some African countries also have this, this agreement in place, with most of these OEMs that have proven to be successful in terms of growing the IT economy of their resident country. We have to promote digital literacy. I cannot overemphasize the importance of digital literacy and local content, local talent development. Now, gone are the days where our education curriculum in Nigeria, for example, is only focused on degrees. Now, degrees can only provide people for the white-collar jobs. You need people that are, technically competent. So most of, some of the institutions that are not coming up in Nigeria now are institutions that provide a vocational qualification in technical areas. And there's a collaboration with a lot of private sectors, especially IT firms, in Nigeria with all these institutions, so that they can attract and employ the right talent into their industry. So we need a lot of these institutions in Nigeria to grow our IT economy, because it is in this kind of innovation creation that we can actually provide the value that is required, for the economy in terms of digital inclusion, digital inclusivity, digital transformation, and digital literacy that is required for our citizens to actually be at that level, at par with the rest of the world. Next slide, please. Now, in conclusion, right, I can then tell you that there's a lot of benefit, right, in having an hybrid IT economic model for Africa. We have to be able to create a balance, the right mixture between the global model that has been proven to work and the new initiatives that is springing up in Africa. We should not redesign the wheel. We can look at the wheel and customize it just like China did, okay? China model is a model that we can emulate in Africa to make sure that, number one, our population, the youthful generation, we should empower them. We should work alongside the youthful generation as private companies, as governments, as policy stakeholders. Stakeholders generally should come and make sure that they work seamlessly to make sure that our youths are empowered for creativity, which is required for the future. Artificial intelligence is upon us. We need to have engineers, data analysts, data technicians that can, put the building blocks together to make sure that we have an AI solution that speaks to African problems. And let's make African IT future independent, but globally integrated. Now, I'm using this opportunity to make a call to all stakeholders. For you that are in the room attending this seminar, is a call to rise up to action. For us that are, maybe attending virtually, it is also a call for us to rise up to action, because they said action speaks louder than word. Let us have smart goals that are specific, that we can easily measure, goals that are relevant, goals that are achievable, and goals that are timely bound, so that we can measure them. Because when we do this, then we know that we are on the kind of projection, on the tangent to developing our economy using our IT model that is specifically tailored for Africa. So at this point in time, I'm going to bring my presentation to a close, and I hope that I've been able to kind of educate, informed, and maybe possibly influence your perception and your thoughts, in terms of, kind of intrigue your thoughts, so that we can maybe go and explore more the benefit of having an hybrid IT economic model for Africa. Thank you very much. At this point, I'm open to questions, and I believe that Zied, the convener, will be able to help to pose the questions in the chat, and I can respond to those questions. Thank you very much once again.
Do we have questions? Yeah. We have now a question for Mr. Lies, who is an architect and with experience of building several data centers in Africa.
We go on the presentation? I think the third slide regarding the hybrid model. Your proposal is to work on mainly on duties, but I don't think this is a good approach, because the government need these duties to as they are a major part of their revenues, tax revenues. But I think in our industry, the problem is not the duties, but the delay that induct these duties. Mainly, sometimes we are importing some spares, some equipments. We have them from Europe or from major Western hub, or even Asian hub, within a couple of days, but it take around 2 weeks to custom clear these equipments. But I think there's a big work to do between OEMs, between governments, and between fundraiser, to install some warehouse, regional warehouses, where the model will be install first, duty pay then. This will be very interesting for our industry in Africa, to reduce all the delays. This is a major issue if we have the hybrid approach, because in the Western or Western countries, they are used with suppliers that have SLA, that can supply parts and equipment within limited times that we haven't, and somewhere we can have 2 or 3 weeks of infrastructure which they're at stop, because we are just waiting that the custom officer wanna to sign a paper that we can pay the duty and custom clear our equipment. This is an issue that I face in multiple countries in sub-Saharan Africa. So there's a model regarding these warehouses. There's economic model to mandate. It could be one in the ECOWAS region, one in the SEAC region, one in the Austral African region, and I think there's a big job to do on this, and there's business on this thing. The second question is regarding, I think, not the last one, but the one before slide. قدم في الآخر بكل. It's regarding the strengthening of regularity frameworks. I'm not very enthusiastic regarding this in Africa, because when we talk on strengthening regulatory, it's mean for bureaucracy control, more control. So I'm not comfortable with but I'm comfortable with mainly not strengthening regulatory, but harmonizing regulatory frameworks within the region Africa. So it can encourage any partnership as we are working within the same rules.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you again. Thank you for the questions. I was able to hear some of the questions, but not all. I think the gentleman was concerned about a kind of a regulatory framework that is standard across Africa, right? If I'm not mistaken. Okay, I think to achieve that is going to be anti-productive. Basically, I think regulatory framework should be country specific. Okay, not only that, because if there's no framework that can guide, the model, then it tends to be kind of creep, like people start doing things that are not probably aligned to the framework. But I do believe that a framework is flexible. A framework can be devised or designed to suit a kind of the need in that particular region, African region. Now, there's what they call interoperability of framework, right? We need to have that kind of gates like an API in technology term, right? It's in development term, that we allow framework to be cross-region compatible, right? That means a regulatory framework in Tunisia has to be compatible one way or the other to the one in Nigeria, right? And to South Africa. So that is my own view, and it is achievable. Talking about the tariffs, right? The duties that you pay, okay, and all that, right? I'll use Nigeria as an example. We have the customs, Nigerian customs, right? They are the ones that are at the gates, the port of entry, where anything from imported from outside of the country comes into Nigeria. And over the years, we have seen that, most of the fees, the tariff that are actually levied on these items are so complex. Sometimes it's not standard, it depends on, where you are or who and there's a lot involved, so it's not kind of standardized. And I do believe that, when you create an enabling environment, okay, an environment that will kind of promote business, investment, then you will have kind of, a seamless or a much more um, supply chain in terms of import of all these equipment. And like I said, it should not be like a single stroke or brush to address all the issues, even within the country, within different sectors of the economy. But you can look at, for example, Nigeria is doing what they call the national identity management. Okay? With the national identity management, a lot of the infrastructure that we are deploying to address the technology at the back of this identity management is imported from Europe. There is a kind of a rebate, right, that is being applied by the government on that sort of, kind of engagement. So it's an engagement on engagement basis. And if possible, with the right approach, we can have a tax that will be affordable, right, across board. So that is what I meant by, so you cannot throw the water out with the baby, right? But what you can do is you can look at the individual cases, individual engagement, and be kind of proactive or actively engaged to make sure that all the, the moving components, right, that are required for, that engagement experience to be good, then you do it. Because at the end of the day, right, you don't want too much bureaucracy, which obviously will affect, the development that we're trying to pursue. So I don't know if that addresses the gentleman's question. If not, I think I'm available to take it offline with him once we share kind of contacts, and I can probably maybe address it offline and probably learn from his own perspective as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Temi. It's actually it's good to connect even when you are remote, because it's one of the purposes of the event is how we get people networking and connecting each other. And so you as your position in the Africa Data Center Association, I think you can help like maybe start changing things, because so the real thing is actually these kind of the difficulties that we face in the African markets. So before I was joking, I say, not hearing us and not hearing us and the connection with Zoom was not working well. It is actually one of the Africa's problems. But actually, when we have bad logistic solutions, this leads actually to higher prices and higher data center construction cost, and sometimes we cannot afford to replace pieces, or because we don't have spare, and that leads to outages and shortage. And I think maybe the solution solution won't be actually a continent or a country on a continent level or a country level, but if we build a solution like in the west, east, north, or even the south, maybe the solution could be easy to deploy, because there will be then a market that could be enough from the market size, or importance will be enough, and then we can have the constructors and the spare producers interested to build to build like warehouses where we can host these things. We had a discussion with Mr. Elias about, in Europe, to optimize the data center, you can have different parts, different equipment optimized upon how your data center looks like. But in Africa, if you want to have optimize your data center, you have to consider that you're not free to buy any the equipment that are available, but you have to consider changing the equipments in the future because some equipments you can get them delivered fast, and if you can get them delivered fast, you are facing like an administrative procedure like no other countries, and this impacts actually the production at the end and the prices and collocations and virtual machines and stuff like that, and bandwidth and so on and so on. So Africa is a big market, that for sure. But I think what needs to be done is unlocking this big potential. I think this is the real thing. Yeah, everybody is convinced that the African market has a huge potential macroeconomically, but nobody has a real clue and knows how microeconomically. And tomorrow, if I want to build something or do something in if I'm like say, an European or West or even an Asian company, and I want to start business in Africa, so it won't be easy to get it on a plan. So we know in Africa you need a local partner, because it's a cultural thing, like in the Middle East, for example, like in the Middle East. But in Africa, we need actually to make it clear how to go and develop business in the African market. It's for African countries between each other or non-African countries. So this is actually how I see things, and we rely on on our partner, first of all, the event partner, the Africa Data Center Association, supported us in this second solution. So we are very, very thankful. That's one part, but the other part of we rely on you as can you hear me? No?
Yes, I'm able to hear him. Yes.
Okay, because all these beautiful words and you don't hear me, that would be yeah. I said, but we rely on you as an association, like to make our to reach our voice, because we are here not in the vision and theoretical thing. We want to find real solution to unlock this market and for the benefit of all of us.
Yes, thank you. And we're looking forward to that. I think it's important that the collaboration, which is the people part, right, is very important that we drop all guards, and we should encourage collaboration more and more. Because in Africa, they say relationship is put at the heart of business, right? And that means for us in Africa, relationship is very key. And when you have a beneficial relationship, then you should be assured that whatever you want to do, I think you already have 80% success. So collaboration is key, and we are prepared, to collaborate with the government, with the government of Tunisia, even the private sectors in Tunisia, to make sure that we achieve this objective in terms of growing our economy using the IT model that we eventually come up with. And thank you again for encouraging me and also accepting, giving me this opportunity to share my views. I really appreciate. I don't take it for granted, and I hope the next edition of this ADCD, I will definitely make it to Tunisia by God's grace. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much. That would be a great pleasure. Thank you very much, Temi. And yeah, the discussion will be continued for sure.